I'm so excited, the sun is shining and we are going eventing today with Teddy Bear. This is Red, my unbacked 4-year-old who was bred out of our amazing Ramiro B mare, Diamond. Red has exceptional breeding for eventing, with his dad being 5-star event stallion Le Points de Bois. He has spent his first 4 years of life out in the field playing with his peers, which means he is totally unspoilt and now ready to start working life. We are on a journey taking Red right from the start to hopefully his first event. I'm just on my way down to the field right now. Loki's behind me. Right, gorgeous boy! And I'm going to grab Ted in so he can have his breakfast, a bath and a plait, because I've got those little white socks that we need to get nice and super shiny. Hello, Mr. Flinty. He says good morning. So it is warm today. I'd say that's it's nice that it's nice weather, but it is the only challenge that we are facing right at this moment in time. It is due to be, I think, the hottest day of the year today. So it's fine. We've evented on plenty of hot days before. Obviously not Teddy, because this is his first ever go, bless him. But I've already packed loads of ice and water and frozen water bottles and everything, so that we can make sure that everybody, dogs, humans, horses, Teddy, is able to keep nice and cool throughout the day. And I have charged fans, I have fans that go in the lorry and all sorts. So I'll keep you up to date with what we do to keep everybody cool. I'm just on my way to catch these two. Go on, kids! Morning! They say no. If you can come to us, that would be better, thank you. Yeah, so with it being the hottest day of the year as well, I'm going to fetch the others in so that they can stand in, because my stable block is nice and airy and cool, so it's nice when it's hot. And yeah, I'm going to get on the road. I think we're leaving at 8 a.m. Okay, 2 ponies captured. Teddy was really good to catch this morning. Maggie did her small circle effort around me, like her little shark impression. Good girl. I am taking them for breakfast. There we go, that's where I was going with that. So I've also not told you where we're going today. We are doing Eland Lodge with Teddy, which is why he's been there a couple of times to school, so he feels comfortable there. It's not the closest place to us in the world, but it's just been really good to be able to get him set up like we have been able to, because it's a big deal for them doing 3 phases together on one day. So if I'm able to make him comfortable in the cross country, that is something. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to give my tack a quick wipe over while he eats his breakfast, and then he needs, like I mentioned, a bath and then platting up, and then we'll get on the road. Good eggs. I need to fetch the other 2 in, of course, but I'll do that once I've eaten their breakfast. Oh, we're just adding some extra kits into the lorry. There we go. So that's his Dooley, our 15-year-old Dooley halter. But just in case, sometimes when he gets tired, he just gets a little bit grouchy about getting on the lorry, and if you don't pop that on, he remembers and he goes, oh, okay, I'll just climb on. I'm not really expecting that now, because I think we're past it, but it's better to be prepared than not. Just put some extra bits in the lorry, although I realise I don't need that one. I think I'll just be riding in the 1 bit today, but I've got to change to 2 stronger options if he's a bit strong. These are my little fans, they're amazing. You just charge them up and they have different speeds. Oh, and it's actually really nice. And on the bottom, so you can either just hang them like that, or there's this and little sort of spider screw-on leg thingies go onto them, and you can wrap it around bars and whatever, so you can find a way to prop them up. Where are the legs? Here. Little legs like this, screw onto it, and then these you can just wrap them around bars or whatever to get the exact angle that you need to make sure it's cooled down. So they're fully charged, but they're USB chargeable, so we can charge them in the lorry while we're at it. Got a lunge line. Hello. And yeah, like I say, just gonna clean some tack. I clipped Loki yesterday, so these clipper blades need sharpening. I've clipped him a lot shorter than I usually would, but it's just so warm. I thought, let's just take all his coat off. You all right, Mr. Man? He says, what is happening today? Good boy. Miss Moopy, you pretty. You're pretty. You good girl. She says, I've had an easy week, guys. Right, I'm going to carry on.
I don't want to stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you want to go, let's go. Let's wrap it up and hit the road. I just got an awesome vibe. Striking the winner post now. Liberty's on my mind. We've taken off, we've left the ground. You gotta.
Hey presto, Teddy is bathed, platted, and ready to rock and roll. I'm just going to grab the boys in. Sorry. Just going to grab the boys in now, and we'll get on the road. Looking rather beautiful, everybody. Good boy. His tail's growing back. Look at those plaits. Good boy. There we go. Good boy. Top line's building up. Getting bitten by Mr. Flint. Good boy. Big muscly bottom. Clever lad. All ready to go. Good boy. We are here, and we've managed to keep him so cool travelling that he's not even sweating, which is good because he always sweats travelling. So it worked. We travelled in with the living door open and then the windows open to the living. Good boy. Right, I'm off to bike around the course and then come back and do my dressage. He's okay. Just seen Simon. He's off to go do his cross country. Good lad. Just stay out of the way while this one goes. Nice little one to begin with. Okay, I am at number 2. It's that nice green topped fence here. They can spook at it sometimes, but I'm just going to film Simon because he's literally just started.
Costello, they're heading to the ditch to Palisade at 19 and 17 chestnut is over the first. So Shenandoah and Toby Tunnicliffe finishing in 4 minutes 43 to put them on a 30-minute semi-garnet, and Costello.
So I just saw Simon just before he came down here and went to say hello. That's a young horse doing its first cross country. Like, what confidence he gives them. Anyway, number 3 is over here. I can't be bothered to walk up to that. It's a little brush fence. You can view it from here.
Finishing in 4 minutes 44, so nothing to add to their dressage of 30
Sleeping in the back of a van, roaming in the wilderness. We never need a plan. We'll be alright, just you and I. Singing from the top of our lungs, dancing by the lakeside. Gonna do it while we're young. In a moment it will all be gone. You gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. us. 'Cause wanna drive through the summer night. And when we are old and gray, we'll look back at this summer night. This summer night. This summer night.
Just checking in, not sure when I last spoke to you. Course is walked. Teddy's been out, had a hand graze. He's also, what do you call it? Good boy. He's also had his white socks washed. And we're now sat here waiting because we're a little bit early and it's raining. So we were there thinking it was going to be really, really hot. It is warm. I am still in shorts and the likes, but it's raining and pouring and the old man's snoring. So it'll be really nice to freshen the air, but I'm just hoping it doesn't make the ground too slippery. So we shall see.
We have confirmation of our first competitor in this BE Handbook, Victoria Wilson, arriving at Transpire. The old grey gelding heading down to the start box at the moment. So while we wait for our first competitor to start, just a reminder, we do have a photographer here and we do have videos of the round. Photographs being taken by us.
Okay then, here we go. Teddy's first ever attempt at an eventing dressage test. So my warm-up's quite simple really at this stage. There's not too much to it. Basically, it's check we've got walk, trot and canter. Make sure Teddy is settled and happy in the environment and focus on our balance. And then anything from there is a bonus really. I think he's at a good stage in his schooling, but he is a big gangly baby. He's not going to be properly fully grown till he's like 6 or 7. So a lot of my job is just helping support him and his body to stay upright and in a good manner. So he's tried really, really hard and he was being a really good boy, even though he thought the car was a little bit spooky. And in we went. It was quite warm. You can see from the foam between his back legs. It was still quite warm despite being drizzly. And our centre line wasn't bad. It was a bit wiggly, and the judge rightly put that we were drifting to the right. We got a 6.5, and the turn right and 20 metre circle right, we got a 6.5 with outline varying. And I'd agree with that. I'd also personally say that he was on his inside shoulder and he could have bent through his rib cage more through the right, but you can see as the circle came towards an end it was definitely improving. Then this next mark was for our trot all the way round to K, and we got a 7 for that, which is really nice. It's amazing that he's already getting 7s despite still being so green in his work. changed the rein and working trot, and we got a 7 for this as well. And he's just in a really nice rhythm, isn't he? So we canter coming out of the corner here, and I was really chuffed with that transition, and the judge rewarded us with a 7. And our circle left 20 metres, we even got a 7 as well. And you will have noticed if you were watching the warm-up, he did slip in the warm-up. It was quite slick because it had rained on top of really solid ground. But he was doing really, really well. We got a 6 for that transition to trot because he went hollow and unbalanced, and I think that's fair enough. He still struggles a little bit with corners when he's cantering. As I said, he is a very big boy. Then this mark doesn't start until you're on the circle, which is amazing because he had a great big wiggle on the long side, but actually on the marking, that was in the previous mark where we got a 6. So we got a 7.5 for this circle. The judge is obviously really quite pleased with his trot and rewarding his quality. And then we got a 7 for this trot around to A and the change the rein. And then a 7 for our canter transition that's coming up. So I just think that's amazing, especially as he's not got shoes on yet and it was slippy on top. So I was also managing that, and everything's just starting to come so much better. I know that we'll be able to do an even better test if, like, just with time. That's all it takes, time and experience and his opportunity to muscle up and get to know the world and mileage and the like. So I'm so proud of him. He got a 7 for that 20 metre circle and another 6 for our trot transition. And the comment on the circle was more supple to bend, which, correct, yeah, I agree. The trot transition on right shoulder and above the bit, again, I agree. At the minute, his centre of balance is sitting a bit to the right. It switches and changes as it goes, and it will get better, and he'll find his centre continuously once his body's fully mature. This medium walk here, we got a 7.5. He's very relaxed and rhythmical. I worked hard not to rush him out of his balance. And then transition to trot and down the centre line. Got a 6.5 for this with could be straight at A to X. I agree, we wiggled. And then we had a real wiggle into our halt, and we got a 6 for that because it was unbalanced. But overall, really, really proud of him. He tried really so hard. We got a 31.8, I believe. I think it was there or thereabouts. Yeah, 31.8. I can so easily see how we could get that to be sub 30. He's just a superstar, and I'm so proud that actually this is a horse that I have produced from unbacked. No one else has even sat on him, and look how happy he is. What a good boy. Dressage done, and Teddy's having a very sloppy feed and making a very big mess while doing so. He was really good boy, weren't you? He says, yes, of course I was good boy, you silly Billy. Good boy. Dressage done, Ted Bear washed off, Belly Boo's here, we're all doing okay. It's just a bit muggy, but it's not that hot, which is good. We've had some lunch. I've walked the show jumping course, which is quite bright and plenty to see, and the fences are like quite close to the edge, so they're quite quick off the corner, so it's going to be a job for me to balance Teddy around the corner to get to the fence nicely, so that'll be a good challenge. And yeah, we're less than an hour now before show jumping, but we're sat in here because it's raining again. So my main thing is that it gets a little bit slippy on top, but I'll just keep looking after him and balancing him, and that's all we can do. See you in show jumping. Oh, good boy. Okay, and I think this is now an appropriate point for me to jump in and have a little chat. I don't think I've ever felt the need to do this on a vlog, but this was quite a complex situation, and yeah. Anyway, so next phase, show jumping. I went and walked the course by myself during the gap on my way to go get Mum a coffee, and I didn't have my phone with me, so I didn't film it because I'd left it on charge because it takes a lot of charge during a day, vlogging, etc. So I walked the course, and I must say when I walked it I was quite shocked. It was a lot stronger than I was expecting at an 80 show jumping course. Sorry, I just thought that maybe I had my top on back to front, but I don't. Yeah, it was much stronger than I expected for a 80 course, and stronger than I remember. I've not done an 80 in years. So it was just one of those things where I thought, oh, that's a bit odd. But Ted's really prepared when it comes down to the show jumping. I've had him, I can't remember how many I've done. I've probably done five, I think. Is that right? Somewhere around that. 5, 80, 85 show jumping rounds. And only one of those was an unaffiliated. The rest were all at BS shows doing the clear round at the start of the day. So they're proper courses. So I felt like he was really prepared. He's never ever had an issue out competing show jumping. I know clear round's not competitive, but you know what I mean. Going to a show and jumping a show jumping round. We've only ever had poles down, never had a stop, anything like that. So I felt like he was prepared, but I did walk the course and think, one, there was a lot of very bright fillers, probably the brightest, spookiest course that he'll have ever seen. And two, the fences were pushed quite far to the edge, which meant you didn't have much time to get round the corner for most of the fences on the course and get balance. And when you're sat on, I'm going to admit it, he's at least 17 hands, probably 17-1 now. He's big, gangly baby. He's only 5. He's figuring out how to balance his body. Coming off turns and getting that straightness and balance is quite tricky. So I did walk it and just go, ooh, this is going to be a challenge. So anyway, headed down to show jumping. The warm-up's quite small at Eland. We know it's one of the things of the place. They can't change it. So there's only 6 allowed in the warm-up. So I headed down probably half an hour before my time, expecting to spend a little bit of time letting him watch and a little bit of time walking up and down the drive until they let me in for my warm-up. But I just thought it would give him lots of chance to acclimatise to the space that he was in, see what was going on, get used to the environment and the atmosphere, and go from there. Now, when I got down there was 4 people in the warm-up, so they let me straight in, and by the time Mum actually got to me, there was only 3, and they put my name on the board. And I did say to them at the time, I said, I'm not convinced I'm going to be ready to go by the time you're calling me, but I'll do my best. So I cracked on, we warmed up. He actually warmed up quite nicely, because again, Donut's waving his bucket round. Hello, Donut. Yes. Warmed up quite nicely. Again, it was a tight arena, so it was that case of cantering and getting his balance off a turn in a tight space and getting over the fences. And he tried really hard, and he was a really good boy. And he coped with the other horses, because sometimes he can be a bit spooky about other horses in the warm-up, a bit nervous around them. And he did really well around all of that. I mean, throughout the event, I've been so proud of him, because actually it's a lot to take in for a young horse. And actually he's learnt, because he can be quite hot-headed when he gets in a tiz, the rest of the time he's dead chill, as you can see. I thought he did really, really well coping with that. I'm sorry, look. He's just being a clown behind the camera because the camera is not on him. I'm going to take that bucket off of you. Mr. Natty! Little monkey distracting me. Right. Let's get back to it. Whee. Anyway, where was I? Ted can get a little bit upset if he doesn't understand things, and you can see it's such a contrast to like his usual demeanour when he's like happy and okay. So I always know that it definitely is something that really affects him if he is in a stage where he's upset, and he wasn't. He did really, really well, and I was really chuffed with him. But as I said, we went into the warm-up early, we got warmed up. The one before me was in. And at this stage, I had a choice, because I had actually jumped quite a few fences. He jumped an oxer and the likes. Either I had chance to go in before the one before me finished, because they send you in just a bit before. That gives you a little bit longer in the ring. And I was feeling that they'd put some really bright, spooky fillers that he's never really seen the kind of before in there. And it would give me the opportunity to at least let him go over to them. Or I waited and said, wait for my time, but the likelihood would be as soon as I went in, the bell would probably ring, so I'd have to just trot on, canter on, go and jump. So he wouldn't get any time to acclimatise to the arena that he was in. And I sort of made the decision that I'd probably be better giving him a moment to have a walk around in the arena before the round rather than taking an extra 5 minutes in the warm-up. Whether this affected it, I don't know. I'm not really sure, but that was sort of the run-up that you don't necessarily get opportunity to see. Anyway, bell rang, tried to show him the fences, spooked at them as expected, didn't quite get as long to be like, it's okay, just take a minute, chill out, because it's the nature of competing. So started, and he was really keen. And also the other thing, as I've mentioned a few times, his mouth is really sensitive. It's not actually showing any marks on it, but it rubs so easily. And obviously, you know me, I like my horses to be happy, healthy, comfortable, as perfect as possible. And yeah, it rubs really easily because he's got really sort of thin, sensitive skin, and his mouth will harden up a little bit more to having a bit in, just because it's a bit like us wearing new shoes or whatever. He's spent 4 years of his life with no bit in, and I've backed him very slowly, so he's always been able to get the sort of softer skin there again. So it's something we're working through, but I put him back into Titan's bit, and I do have a stronger version with a bit more pole pressure, but I'd been jumping him in that one, and he really didn't feel strong in that one, so I was like, oh, maybe I could go down to the snaffle version, just the D-ring. And I decided to do that because he also has a tendency to flick his head at the slightest touch on his mouth. So I was like, maybe I'd just try a slightly softer bit. I realised between fence 1 and 2 that was a really bad decision because he just ran through the bridle and I couldn't hold him. I was just like, oh, off we go then. Off we go, teddy bear. So I was like, okay, cross country. I'd taken more bits with me. Cross country, I'll switch you back to a stronger bit. And it's just that teething thing of figuring that sort of thing out. And just quickly to add, obviously I've been switching and changing bits a lot, and the best one for not rubbing his mouth, because it's really soft, so far we've found is a trust bit. And Titan always used to go into trust bits, which is why I've got the D-ring, the snaffle one, and the it's called a butterfly flip, but the one with more pole pressure. Titan used to use the stronger one for jumping as well because they are very soft. I'll just show you. Let me put you back on my tripod. There we go. Only issue has been is Titan had quite a big mouth. Teddy is a Warmblood. He's got a very long face. He's huge. From Donut, and Donut's 16'3", when I put the lunge bridle on Teddy, it has to go down 3 holes because you get big head, still that big brain, hey? But he's got a teeny tiny little mouth. So most of my bits are 5.5 inches. Titan's, I think, is 5 3/4 because he had quite a big mouth. So while I've been trying it, because bits aren't cheap, so it's quite hard, and especially the truss bits you can't have on trial because they're a soft mouthpiece, so they mark them as soon as they go in. I've been using Titans, but you can see it pulls through his to one side or the other. So one side sits nice and securely, and then it pulls through, and it doesn't help the situation with rubbing because there's movement there. So I've kind of established that these bits are going to be ideal for him, and actually the stronger bit I can hold him in, which I wasn't sure originally, and certainly the softer bit I can definitely dressage him in that. That's definitely comfortable. So I was a bit short of money this month. It's been expensive getting vet bills out the way. I'm also doing a lot of training. I'm going to explain it later. There's been a lot going on. And yeah, it's been a really expensive time. So Mum, bless her, has very kindly, sorry, incoming call. So Mum, bless her, has very kindly stepped in and helped me out. And we've got Teddy smaller bits. So we've gone for 5 1/4 inch, and they're the truss bits. And when I say they're very soft, so they're a really soft mouthpiece. And this is how soft the straight bar is. Well, any of these. I can't remember what version mine is. The soft touch one. But you can get harder ones. But I think these are the softest. So they're not much to hold them. So we've gone for a D-ring for just the same as what he was wearing, but in the size down. And it's quite a significant jump down. So I'm about to put one in and check that it fits. But I'm fingers crossed it looks about right. Good boy. And then stop it. A 3 ring. in this, which just gives me that little bit of extra leverage. So I can either stick roundings on, or if I want it really a bit stronger, I can go on to this bottom ring. Technically, I'd have to have 2 reins. That would be quite a lot to do with a young horse, but I think I'd probably stick the rings on, and it puts in that pole pressure there and pulls it up a bit more into the corner of the mouth, but while being a very, very soft mouthpiece that is not going to rub. And very snazzy. Obviously this isn't sponsored to support them. Very snazzy. Got these on the end. I don't know if this is what he's going to end up in, but it was very clear that he needed a smaller bit, so we needed to do something, so we cracked on. I shall be paying my mother back very, very soon, but she's a good egg, bless her. She helps me out when she can, and yeah, that makes a difference. So we shouldn't have the issue of the bit pulling through, which is at least something taken out. So jumped 1, 2, really keen. Jumped 3, knew that was going to be hard because it came off a turn and it was tight, but he jumped over it. Came down to 4, running a bit through the bridle. Spooky fence. You can't really see it on the video, but it's a pencil filler and it actually looks like a cross-country jump underneath the poles. And to be completely honest with you guys, well, you've seen I start him over tiny cross-country fences so that he can have a look and he can go from pretty much a standstill. And I know that that's okay when we're warming up for cross-country, because I can do that in a warm-up. He can have a look and work through all of that, and then once he's had a jump over a solid fence, he's fine. But obviously I hadn't had that opportunity because we were show jumping. So he came up to it and he just ran past it. Because I don't think he was listening to me on the way up, because I'd sort of got the tack wrong. And then he sort of saw it last minute and went, oh God, bit of a shock, ran past it. So I was like, right, okay, let's just bring you back round, trot round to it. And then he stopped and had a big spook at it. So I gave him time at that point. As I've already mentioned, he can get in a bit of a tiz-was and get a bit stressy. So I was just like, just breathe. It's okay. Have a pat. Don't worry. He's a baby and he's learning. And I'm not going to these events to go win. I'm going to go and try and get him into these environments because the way he learns, you have to sort of go and get him into the environments, let him learn about it, let him figure it out. And then he goes, oh, actually, it's okay. And I know this because it's been like that the whole time. He's been backed. First time with long reins, first time with a roller, first time bellying over. All a little bit hair raising. Whereas now we don't have the explosive reaction, because he's got that much faith in us, but we still have sort of quite an insecure reaction where he doesn't like getting things wrong. So I gave him time and just said, it's all right, Ted, don't worry, chill out. And in my head at that point, I was thinking, we've had 2 refusals. I have 1 more chance and then I'm eliminated. So what do I do? Do I want an elimination on Teddy's record, or do I retire? So I did a circle while I was thinking of that. I actually put my hand up as I did the circle, and the hand up goes for a retirement. I then took a little bit of time and thought, okay. And I made the decision to jump the fence once more so that we ended it on a good note. Now, this is where it starts getting complex, because obviously the judge had taken it as a retirement. And that's what they did. They buzzed me afterwards as I was jumping the fence, and they said, forgot to add this part, and that I was eliminated anyway. But I've been and checked my rule books just to make sure, because I was a bit worried that I was in the wrong. You are allowed to. So I have been and checked my rule books. It does refer to British show jumping rules because the rule isn't covered in British eventing. And if it's not covered within the British eventing handbook, it takes you back to the British show jumping handbook. So I did have to check. But if you retire, you are allowed a further 2 attempts at a fence in the right direction before you leave the arena. So I assume you can only jump one fence, jump it once, and if your horse stops twice, then you're going to go out anyway. But we represented, and he jumped it beautifully. He was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, so anyway, the jump judge told me I was eliminated at that point. I wasn't planning on carrying on after jumping that fence anyway. I was retired. I had no intention of jumping the rest of the course because I felt like that had already told me that we had more to work on. And especially with a course where the next fence was going to be a double that was tight off the corner again. And I just thought it wasn't fair. Like I already knew it was going to be a challenge. I'd gone in, I'd given it a go. We'd identified that actually, yes, coming off the turn was a challenge from the difficult jump at the Oxer at 3. So I was like, I just want to end this on a good note and give him a good experience, which I think I did. So yes, he had 2 stops. Yeah, he had a flyby and then a stop at a fence that was very bright and looked like a cross-country fence. But then I asked him to jump it again and he did it really nicely. And he got a pat and he had a nice time and I made sure that it was a good experience for him. So I don't think he had a bad experience at all. However, I am classed as eliminated. So that's it, really. That is the long and short of it. And I wasn't upset. I was just like, yeah, it's horses. It happens. We took him for experience. I'd taken him to Eland because he was very prepared, because obviously I knew that we were capable of doing a dressage test, which he did lovely. He got 31.8 and we were very wiggly. So, you know, the marks were going up and down with as his balance got lost and came back. So I know where we can heighten that as he gets stronger and more balanced, which is amazing. And I know that I've done loads of show jumping rounds and yeah, sometimes we've kicked them down where we've come in and lost balance and the likes, but he's always been fine and gone. So I knew we were prepared for that. And the cross country was actually the thing that I was bothered about, making sure you had a really good time round. So we've actually been, and he's schooled around the 90 course at Eland before it closed prior to the event. And yeah, so I felt like I'd sort of really set it up well for him to have a nice time. But hey ho, that is horses. And I was just a bit like, well, whether I'm eliminated or retired, stop it, City. Whether we're eliminated or retired, like we'd done what I, after having a couple of problems, had decided that I wanted to do. I wanted to jump the fence, tell him he was a good boy, leave it on a good note. So anyway, I have contacted BE, having gone and double checked my rules and asked if they would be willing to change the elimination to a retirement. If they don't, not the end of the world. I can always, if I ever sell him, I can always explain it, and that it definitely wasn't his fault and show the videos. It's my fault, I think. Is it my fault? I was within the rules. Who knows? Let's not get into it. But anyway, I'm in contact with BE. We'll see what happens, but it's not really worth getting in a tizover. I would have done this reflection on the day, but then subsequently something happened which I don't want to disclose on here, and I am dealing with through the proper manners that actually quite upset me. So it's taken a few days. We're now on Tuesday and we're having a chat through this before it goes up tomorrow night. So when you're seeing it on Wednesday. But yeah, he was a really great boy. This now sort of throws my plans a little bit because it's, my plan was that he was going to do all 3 phases at Eland where I'd sort of done a lot of prep, and the cross-country course was tough. It was tough at Eland. It was a lot stronger than I expected it to be, but because I'd gone and schooled him round the 90 course, which funnily enough, they'd actually changed some of the 90 fences to metre fences, so a tough version of the 90 as well. I felt that he was prepared to go and jump around that track. He was familiar with where he was going. And I thought that was great to get all 3 phases together, do his first competitive cross-country round and tick all those boxes before we headed off this coming weekend to do another event at a venue he'd never been to before, and sort of also just for me to know how it was riding him around a competitive course, coping with other people around, fence judges' cars, all those other things. So yeah, it's left me slightly in limbo, not being able to complete the event on Saturday as to what we do this weekend, because I'm entered at ISHxWarmblood. I had entered the BE 80. In the meantime, I have just changed my entry to the Go BE 80 because that wasn't an option when I entered originally. I had to enter standard BE because they didn't have the Go BE classes at the time. And same with Eland. I'd have loved to do it as Go BE. I'm not bothered about it being affiliated or anything yet, but it's also availability of events and it fitting in when is most applicable for you, isn't it, mate? So yeah, I've moved it to the Go BE. I've not withdrawn because there's not any wait lists, so I definitely won't get my money back at this stage anyway. So I'm just giving myself time to consider my options and make a decision. My thought is, given I have already paid £125, £130 for my entry fee, do I go and get him into the atmosphere again so that he gets to learn a bit more about it, go and do another dressage test, and probably go and do another show jumping round? There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do the show jumping round. So my other option would be to withdraw, lose the £125 and go and enter show jumping elsewhere. So financially, because I do have to consider these things financially, I am self-funded, living on my own in my 20s, trying to fund 3 event horses. So it's tight. I eat beans on toast most nights in order to be able to afford it. But that is my goals and dreams, and it's not me complaining, but it is a consideration in my decisions as to how do I most economically do things while making sure that it is the best things for my horses. So that is a thought. And then if he goes really well, do I take him out on the cross country? Now it's a Go BE. I'm kind of thinking probably yes. Do take him, do go and get him back in the environment. And if he's feeling overwhelmed or unsure or whatever at any stage, I can just retire, pull him out, tell him he's a good boy, and we go and fight for another day. But it just keeps adding those notches in his experience belt, adding a couple more miles on of experience. 80 really isn't a stretch for him. So it's not putting any strain on his body, I wouldn't say. And then I had already been saying before we even went to Eland, he feels like he's getting ready for a break. He's a big boy. Big boy. He's actually stood down a dip right now. So if I go and... He's a big boy. He's a teddy bear. You're a good lad. Yeah, he's a big boy. He's a young horse. His body's got a lot of maturation and development to do. And he's already changed so much in the time that we've been working with him. But I always advocate for good breaks for them. I think they come back better after their breaks. This was going to tell me whether he was ready to push on and try and get to the Cornbury Young Event horse classes. And I am most definitely not going to be aiming for those. Like, I'd be shocked if we go to Cornbury 5-year-olds now, which is absolutely fine. He's just not ready. And his brain also does really well for a break because he's very switched on cookie, and he is a really, really genuine, lovely lad. But he does like to understand what he's doing and why. Teddy. Yes, good boy. He does like to understand what he's doing and why. So it does take a little bit more time sometimes, you know, rather than some of the other horses where they sort of just accept it and they just go, oh, okay then. He's not like that, and that's fine. I love that actually, because it means that he has got the brain that once he knows what he's doing, he helps you out, which is great. I think it's all the attributes to make an amazing horse, and we have this fabulous bond. So I'd never want to feel like I put him in a situation where he couldn't cope and the like. So I constantly analyse and make sure what my next steps are. And like I say, that's why I'm considering whether I do choose to go to off church or not. And I would say, being completely honest with you right now, I'm leaning towards saying yes, I will go, and probably just do dressage and show jumping, and then see about the cross country. It'll depend. I can walk the course. If the start looks really inviting, I might say, oh, I'll go and jump to 6 or something, but we'll see. I don't know. I might just go and do the dressage and let him have a chill out, and we'll go and have some chips or something and let him stand on the lorry. Or all of that is really great experience for him anyway, and because you don't get the same atmosphere at pure show jumping or dressage shows. It just isn't the same as eventing with a tannoy in the middle of a field and the likes. So all of it would be good, but I certainly think after this, I want to give him a little bit of time just to go away, let his muscles rebuild and see how we go before we maybe pick up and do a little bit more at the end of the season. Hopefully a little bit of eventing, but maybe it'll be a bit more training lessons and pure like dressage, show jumping and cross country schooling. I don't know. I'm a very much go with the flow kind of girl. I put goals in place at the end of the tunnel, and then I do what feels appropriate at the time, and then adjust the goals appropriately for it. So anyway, I hope that's very, very long-winded explanation, but I think it's important. It's important to show these bits. I wasn't upset with Teddy at all on the day. The only thing that upset me was completely separate to him, and it was a human being. But that is fine. Life is not perfect, is it, Teddy Bear? And life is not linear, especially with any horses, let alone when you are producing a young horse. So you do have to go with it and go with what's best for your horse. But I personally think that given the circumstances, I tried my best to give Ted a good experience, and he came home with glowy, shiny eyes, looking really quite happy with himself. So I think that was a great experience for him, and I really want to build on that. But yeah, I think he is getting ready for a little break, both mentally and physically, probably a month off, 2 weeks to a month, minimum 2 weeks. So certainly after this weekend, you'll be going on your holly bobs. But yeah, overall, actually very, very proud of how he conducted himself. There was things out of our control, always is. You can't control. That's the whole thing with competing. You don't know what course you're going to get and the likes. But what we had in our control, I think we did very well. That's my opinion on it anyway. So yeah, I hope you found this interesting and helpful, maybe. I don't know. I think it's really helpful, that rule. Since speaking to people, a lot of people didn't know that you could do that. And I do think, I think the rule must have been put in place to make sure that horses and riders get a good experience. What it means is it takes that pressure off to desperately want to try and get over a fence. And there is another rule that if you've been eliminated, this is in show jumping as well, not cross country. This is purely a show jumping rule. During eventing as well as BS, but if you've been eliminated, you also have that opportunity to make 2 attempts to jump a single fence in the correct direction before you leave the arena. And I think it's nice to be able to leave it on a good note rather than just have stops and then have to go out. To me, it feels a bit icky, and it doesn't feel as useful when you're producing the horses. So I think it's great that those rules are there, and I've spoken to a lot of people who actually didn't realise that was a rule, and I can confirm I've definitely checked. It's in this year's BE Eventing Handbook and this year's British Show Jumping Handbook, so it's definitely there. So I hope that's probably a helpful one to bear in mind, what you're probably just best doing, so you avoid the confusion I had. Go tell, Teddy, go tell the judge that's what you're doing rather than confusing them. Because that's where I made a mistake, and I take responsibility for that. I wasn't clear. But yeah, I hope that was helpful and is useful to know. If you enjoyed this video, do make sure to leave me a comment, please. I love reading all of your comments, even if I haven't managed to get back to them. I've had a lot on lately, but I'll fill you in about all of that soon enough. And yeah, I will catch you soon, possibly for a partial eventing vlog at ISHxWarmblood. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.